Yeah. Let's go.
Do we see a green bike in the front? Shakes it down. Webster with a good jump.
Look, Cloud up the inside. Cloud that comes through.
Jed Beaton has done everything right today. 5 seconds to go.
24, ProMX champion. Take a bow, Kyle Webster.
Go hard.
There's so much to see and do in the beautiful Latrobe City region, with a selection of national parks and rainforests, world-class sporting events, endless cycle trails, 5-star restaurants and plenty of activities to help you unwind and relax. Latrobe City has it all, including the historical Loyang motocross track located just outside of Traralgon, which has hosted national championships since 1993, where it hosted the National 500cc Motocross Championship. Well, today it plays host to round 4, the Penrite ProMX Championship presented by AMX Superstores. Hello everyone, I'm Lee Hogan alongside former Supercross superstar Danny Ham. Danny, welcome. We've been here many times to Traralgon in the past. Through the 1990s, this place has some history.
It does, absolutely, and we're really excited about coming back here as well. Last time we visited this place, 1998, and I can tell you, I had an absolutely terrible day.
Yes, mine wasn't too good either. Well, let's start with the Kawasaki MX1 class, and it is all currently about Kyle Webster. He has the momentum. He has won 3 motos on the trot, and at the last round at Gilman, he was fastest in qualifying, fastest in the pole shootout, and won the first moto. Of course, our second moto was cut short.
Yeah, look, this is a pivotal round for the rest of the series. With Webster being so fast, Jed Beaton really cannot allow another win to slip away from him this weekend. And this is sort of Webster's area too. He loves these kind of conditions. I feel it's going to be tough, but out of the two, Jed Beaton really can't let this one get away. And I can tell you what, I was very excited about getting to this venue, both yourself and I, but you got a chance to get out and have a look at this track.
Welcome to the Shingleback off-road track preview here at Traralgon. The sun is shining, but they have had a lot of rain, and this is one muddy track. Let me get my bike off the Shingleback moto rack, and we'll get into it straight away. Got ourselves a short, sharp start straight here and high speed into a 90-degree left-handed first turn. We have had so much rain here overnight, 20 mil in the area from Friday night to Saturday morning, and I'm out trying my best to make my way through this very muddy track. No jumps whatsoever in these first few turns as we finally make our way over the first of our little single jumps. Once again, the tractor you can see has been through trying to rip the surface and give me a little bit of traction to make my way through here. The light colour soil where it's almost white, you can see the Traralgon dirt's lost all of its consistency, making it almost impossible to make your way through. So much water on the inside of the corner here, but it goes right the way to the outside. Trying to use my foot almost as a ski to make my way through the corner. Up and over the tabletop in a very high speed left-hander here. Almost a little bit of a washout there, both front and back wheel drifting through that high speed corner. And this is a famous part of the track here. High speed up and through this left-hander, through the Fox turn. We're trying to keep it all together here as I make my way towards the outside. And believe it or not, it was a lot drier there than on the inside. We've got some rollers here, nice little double. Trying to keep it on the inside, but drifting wide as we make our way now down through this downhill section. Water right the way across the track. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to be landing in there. Once again, I try to keep the inside, but no hope as I drift to the outside. A very cool little section here as a jump on, step off, and into a tight right-handed turn. Now, it's already got a berm around the outside, but we're going to see numerous choices of inside ruts there, and that's a quagmire, I tell you. Trying to make my way through there was very, very tricky. As we make our way through a split section here, jump to the inside or the easy route around the outside, which of course I took. Another tabletop, timing not great, making our way across the highest point of the track, and this right here, I was almost over the handlebars as that is bottomless, almost knee deep the mud. roll over the single, and we make our way towards the last straight before the finish line. High up on the berm and a little bit of a downhill here, which the camera angle doesn't quite show. A little bit of elevation, and this last turn has always been there for as long as I can remember, through the late 80s and through the 90s, but I have not seen it this muddy and slippery. Cross the finish line here, and a good fun couple of corners here, a little bit of drifting. Lucky to keep her on two wheels once again. Nice little double jump, a bit of a clay base here compared to the rest of the track. Nice right-hander, electing to go around the outside once again, and that completes the lap here at Traralgon.
A rider that continually finds himself top 5 throughout the championship this year, Levi Rogers. Levi, you'd have to be pretty happy with the performance that we've had so far this year.
Yeah, I am. I'm pretty happy with it for myself and the team, where I'm putting everyone in a good spot. You know, we've been working really hard, and so have I, to continue to be up there, and that's our goal for the year, and we're trying to finish stronger than we started.
Now, as I said, continually up there, top 5. We see you in the shootout quite often. What's going to take to get that little bit extra? See you in top 3. Do you think we can get there before the end of this year?
Yeah, definitely. That's my goal for the last couple of rounds. We've been working at that. Myself, John from Scud Style Dynamics, and Andy from ATR Suspension, we've just done some testing. We're pretty happy with what we've come up with. We put some really good days and a couple of the races up in Queensland there on it, and I'm really happy with it. Excited to test it out and, you know, get in the fight.
Well, there you go. This guy here knocking on the door, top 3 every single round. It won't be too long. Keep your eye out on Levi Rogers.
We're at Loy Yang Park in Traralgon, round 4 of the championship, postcard weather conditions, and we are almost in the starters' hands. This, of course, Moto1 of the Kawasaki MX1 class. Kyle Webster, fastest in pole shootout. Jed Beaton, Maximus Purvis, Wilson Todd, Nathan Crawford.
Kurt Gibbs was up there. Watson as well got himself into 8th. Duffy is back a little bit further than we expected. Todd Waters also back there in 11th. Things have changed, though, quite considerably since the riders were out with qualifying. You see them now getting ready to get underway for the first moto of the day for the Kawasaki MX1. Those tyres will light up on the concrete. Who's going to get out to the first corner first? It looks like Beaton with the start.
Is that Beaton? Yes, it is. The number 14, Nathan Crawford up the inside. Purvis, Beaton's teammate there in 3rd place. Did you pick up Webster? Whereabouts is Kyle Webster? Mistake there from one of the Yamaha riders.
Webster's about 3rd, 4th at the moment. I did see him go through. No, didn't get his trademark start, but he is there. 4th place behind Nathan Crawford.
Right, well, it is all to play for Jed Beaton. We came out today, it was Kyle Webster fastest in qualifying, also fastest in the pole shootout, but with the start, where it really counts, Jed Beaton. Now the WP whole shot going to Jed Beaton on board the Monster Energy CDR Yamaha machine. And right away, Purvis straight up into 2nd place.
So Purvis has been struggling with injury over the opening rounds of this championship. Now sits there in 3rd place. 2nd place. Webster has made that pass into 3rd, as we see Zachary Watson with a big jump there right next to Duffy, trying to get a pass made. That there is for 5th place. Good start by both of these riders, continuing to push forwards. Webster there in 3rd, cannot allow Jed Beaton to get away.
Great aerial shot of the track here, just showing how some of the lines are coming together. The number 8 machine of Watson doing a great job at the moment, up there in 6th place. But let's be careful here, because Jed Beaton, he is going to try to run and hide. Have a look at the gap already that he has pulled over his teammate. Kyle Webster back there in 3rd place. This is going to be no easy task, trying to get past Beaton's teammate.
There's some track works being done in between our lunch break, and it has affected a couple of spots, like just here leading onto this jump, more so for safety in many of the areas, including this one here. If you didn't catch it in our live stream, the massive moment for Webster in the pole shootout. That was incredible that he saved it. Another mistake, though, from Webster. To me, he looks a little out of sorts compared to what we saw a little bit earlier.
Yeah, he's just overcooking it a little bit. He will need a couple of laps to get into his rhythm, but when Jed Beaton is in this kind of form and he gets a start like that, you can't afford to take too long. He's going to need to get into second, get some clear space, some clear air, and see if he can start to chip away at that lead. Now, what's happening at the moment, we are seeing a case of Jed Beaton in the lead, needs to stop the bleeding, doesn't he? How many races in a row now? It's 3 in a row where he has finished second place to Kyle Webster, needs to stop the bleeding.
He has set himself up beautifully right now with that start. Came from a little bit wider on the gate. We were wondering where those starts might come from, and it looks like out a little wider. Nathan Crawford there in 4th place at the moment. He's got Watson not too far behind him on the Rising Motorsports bike. He is absolutely flying as well. Blasts through that right-hander, rips down one of those track markers as second and third battle continues to erupt.
Now, unfortunately, we've got no Luke Cloud on board the Penrite Racing Empire Kawasaki machine. He had a massive crash in the pole shootout, and he's okay, nothing major, but he needs to go through a bit of an evaluation process. So the good news is nothing too major. We'll see him sooner or later, but no racing here today for Cloud.
Sorry, beautiful line there by Purvis as he went into that left-hander. Picked up the rut nice and early and got through there absolutely clean. Webster all over the back wheel, but he is blasting and destroying the corners as he goes through, up over the tabletop, clears the vision, tries to find another rhythm to get himself around this rider in front of him. This here is the best we've seen Purvis this year. It's the Purvis we expected to see. However, as we mentioned, those injuries have held him back. Looks like things are coming together.
All of our top 3 place getters at the moment into the 151s. The fastest of them, Jed Beaton, 151.3. The next fastest, Kyle Webster, 151.5. Oh. Already we see a little bit of a gap. We've got over a 3-second gap from Beaton back to his teammate, Max Purvis.
Well, you didn't quite catch that one just there, Lee. They were going through a left-hander and Webster's bike was pointing to the right. That's not what you want. And right now it just shows the intensity that he has and the desperation at the moment. He wants to make this pass. He needs to make this pass if he has any hope of catching up to our race leader. But it looks beautiful. Purvis looks fantastic on this bike at the moment.
Yeah, he's certainly owning this second spot at the moment. I think it's more to the point that Kyle Webster has just made, and there was another little mistake there that we just saw the edge of. I think it's been consecutive mistakes from Webster. He's just trying to push the limit a little too much, and have a look at the gap that he has allowed Purvis to edge away from him now. When they come across the finish line the next time around, I'd be very interested to see what these lap times are doing. It looks like Beaton is continuing to drop very fast laps. I think Purvis is on a bit of a flyer as well. But just in one section, Webster just managed to make up half of that ground.
Towards the finish line, we will get a read as they go across. 151.8 for our race leader. 53.2 for Max Purvis, and the same for Kyle Webster. So both of these riders dropped off a little bit on that last lap. They were in the 151s, no problem. So those mistakes proving very costly.
So it really wasn't a case of Purvis doing anything extra special. It was just a shocker of a lap for Kyle Webster, and you can almost see it. He's riding angry at the moment, isn't he? And that's either going to go one way or the other. I think we're either going to see some more mistakes from him and drop back a little bit, or we're going to see a pass on Purvis very soon.
Up and over the tabletop before the mechanics area. Oh, is that a roll-off issue that's starting to develop there for Webster, or is this a...
It's the right side, like we were talking about earlier in the live stream, so potentially could be that tear-off system where they catch it before it flies off the helmet.
Yeah, it looked like he had a tear-off there as they go through, so maybe no dramas just there. Back wheel sliding out for Purvis as he went blasting through that turn, trying to get some traction out of that back wheel. Big dive to the inside from Webster, but pushed him very wide there. He keeps finding these really good lines and then making the mistakes. There is Crawford still sitting there in 3rd place, and I can't stress how incredibly awesome this ride is for our 5th place rider in Watson. I expected to see him up there much earlier this year. He just hasn't been able to grab the pace that he needed. As we look at this, Webster around the outside. How did he do that?
That was a great line around the outside there. It has no jump and it's not quite as deep. But I tell you what, you need to absolutely hold it wide open. Let's follow him through as he sets it up from that section, the left-handed jump. And I tell you, you don't want to hit that jump much faster than that. That's Webster at his finest, riding on the ragged edge.
That was 100% commitment right there. He was going down or he was making the pass. Maximus Purvis finding form. Finally, this is the rider we expected to see. Like we mentioned, battling injury earlier on, just trying to get through those motos at the opening rounds that we've seen so far this year. Back to find form. The New Zealand champ of 2025 sits very comfortably at the moment in third place. 7 seconds in front of, or is that 5 seconds in front of, no, 7 seconds in front of Crawford. So he's got very comfortable positioning at the moment.
Yeah, it's looking great, and that footage that we saw just there as they make their way left and make their way down the hill towards that final turn, and that's where we see here, we're having a close look at Kirk Gibbs. I was just about to make mention, it was perfect timing, where we saw Gibbs just go into that corner. Those braking bumps, how many side-to-sides have we seen going into that corner? That looks to be one of the sketchiest parts of the track.
You really have to be comfortable on a bike today with it moving around unexpectedly underneath you. If you're one of these riders that like to feel positive and tight on the bike, you're definitely going to pump up. And right now, these bikes moving around the way they are underneath these riders is showing just how difficult this track and how loose this track is currently as they complete their first moto for today.
Kirk Gibbs looking nice and smooth into the Pirelli left-hander. He has got a little bit of company there with another one of the old boys, Todd Waters. No disrespect there, just in actual fact, full respect for these older lads out there that are right up there in the mix with the young guns of today. Welcome back to the Penrite ProMX Championship presented by AMX Superstores. We are at Loy Yang Park in Traralgon, round 4 of the championship. Postcard weather conditions.
You can train as much as you want, but to be in that race pace fitness, it's very, very hard to come back from injuries from such a long extent on the sidelines too.
All right, now, Hammy, I just glanced across to our big monitor that has all of our times, split times, who's doing what, and sure enough, it's like we've blinked, and that gap is now down to 4.2 seconds from Jed Beaton back to Kyle Webster. Webster continues to chip away at that lead, and at this rate, we've got 9 minutes plus a lap to go. If things keep going the way they're going, I think we could have a battle on our hands for the last 2 or 3 minutes. Hopefully our last 2 or 3 laps of the race.
Into Gabriel left, Watson managing to hold off the charge there by Wilson Todd, so has stepped it up. The lap times very, very good at 56.8 compared to 56.9. Both of these riders not too far off the pace of our leaders who have gone down into the 53s, which is a little unusual from what we've seen in previous rounds. Lee, they've managed to hold on to those sprint lap race pace lap times for a majority of their races, so to find them down a little bit right now means that they are taking their time in this track, trying to minimize those mistakes.
Yeah, I'm still going to say with 8 or so minutes to go plus a lap, in the last 5 minutes of the race, if these two absolute warriors can do what they usually do and get back down towards, say, the 152s, which I predict they will, that'll still nonetheless be an exceptional effort.
Into the right-hander. Once again, Todd much closer this time around. Caught a glimpse of the number 3 of Crawford just onto the right side of screen. Wasting no time though. Wilson Todd now moves himself there into 5th place aboard that Honda. And up and over that tabletop. Watson jumping back onto the rear wheel right now, looking for that different line. And actually making the pass back, almost charges into the corner. Wilson Todd tipping it in very hard on the outside. Manages to hold on here momentarily. Can Watson get a run out of here? It's a long way around the outside on that long turn.
Yeah, it's a great line up the inside there, diagonally drifting across to the outside and back again. Not only Do I believe it's the best line from a bumps perspective? It kind of stops anyone from passing you, doesn't it? Because you cover all parts of the track. Loving those lines coming together. Let's have a look at the Honda replay here. Nice little triple there from Wilson Todd on the inside. Nails that rut and gets gifted a little bit with a mistake there from Zachary Watson. Nothing too major, but here we see trying to get it back up the inside. Doesn't want to lay down lightly.
And the way Wilson Todd tipped into that turn just then, fully committed. That was a great move there to keep that position locked down in 5th place. Crawford there sits in 4th place. He's 6 seconds behind the next placed rider, which is Purvis, of course, who we've spoken much about in this particular moto. Once again, another lonely race for Crawford, but a solid race nonetheless as he continues to motor his way around on that KTM. Back wheel, in swing into that edge of the track. We've seen that many times today as those lines changing up since the first couple of laps that we saw. The guys running to the inside. Purvis there in 3rd place. Again, 6.7 seconds in front, working his way around those lap riders. You'd have to think that Monster Energy CDR Yamaha would be pretty impressed with the performance that we've got out of Purvis in this particular race.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic race for sure. And just sort of having a look here, Nathan Crawford back in 4th place, doing a great job. And he is very solid in 3rd place with the points. Positions remain the way they are at the moment, 111 points for Nathan Crawford. And while he is a decent chunk off 1st and 2nd place in the championship, he is a massive amount of points ahead of his next closest rival, which is Wilson Todd with 85 points.
Back out now, but no doubt it is a little bit closer. He is there. That's close enough for Beaton to start feeling that pressure.
Yeah, it is. And with 1.5 minutes plus a lap to go, there's still a good, depending on when they pass the finish line area, it should be 3 laps to go. Have a look at the intensity from Kyle Webster. He's letting it all hang out at the moment. He needs to hit every line. It doesn't matter. A foot dab, you can make some ugly mistakes so long as they don't cost you time. He's coming.
Yeah, well, that was the difference the last lap around at 1:55. So a mistake from Beaton exactly the same time as Webster has wicked it up to a 1:52.4. He was in the 54s for 2-3 laps prior to that. Maybe he's just been looking around, working at the best lines, and now it's time. Very late in this moto. Still 2 laps to go as they cross the line right here.
Did you just see Kyle Webster rail the outside of that section? I guarantee you by the time they cross the finish line here, he's not going to be too far behind. Have a look at the slingshot here onto the straight. Talk about having the wind in his sails at the moment.
1:53.5 compared to a 1:52.3. He is absolutely flying at the moment. Is Kyle Webster. Grabbed himself that good line through that single jump, the one that blew out earlier on, as Beaton continues to work his way through some of the lap riders. Webster is right there again. The skill level of both of these riders late in the motos is just exceptional. So good to watch. And it's going to come down to who does not make the mistakes. Maybe Webster's already used his bag of mistakes, and right now he's got no more to make.
Well, he has to deal with intense pressure here, that's for sure. Our clock has just wound its way down to 0. So the next time they cross across the finish line, they will receive the last lap board. But Kyle Webster can smell it from here. And I tell you what, Jed Beaton can feel this pressure. Little mistake from Kyle Webster.
That was going to be costly right there. I love the way he's just tipping into lines that do not exist. Somehow his confidence in that bike, in the dirt underneath him, to just lay it in there, feet on the pegs, and know that he is able to turn the corner into the easy left right. A mistake on entry just there.
Another mistake there. They're going to prove costly. You know what will be super impressive here is if Jed Beaton manages to drop his times down into the 1:52 as well this time through.
Well, we will find out as they cross the line. There's only a couple more turns to go. I feel this line has come to its own right now. Didn't blast through there the way we've seen a couple of laps before. But Webster is absolutely flying. Beaton cannot rest at all as he receives the last lap board this time around. Across the line, the back end stepping sideways, as too does Webster's. 52 is the answer for Beaton. 1 second faster that last lap around.
Well, what did we say? That was the response, to be able to get down to the 152s at this time of the race, when a 151 was your sprint time. That is the sign of a true champion. They've both managed to do it. The response from Beaton has just been superb, hasn't it? He has got just over half a lap to answer Kyle Webster the best way possible.
Through the Pirelli left towards the mechanics. The team will be cheering him on, pumping him on, trying to get this win, not letting that Honda rider steal it away from him late in the moto. Beaton lining up to a left rider who got off the track completely.
Up to the highest point of the track through the Fox section, and this part of the track just not draining. Webster doing everything he can to get back in tow to try to put some kind of racetrack pressure onto Jed Beaton in this latter stage of the race. Only about a third of a lap to go. Beaton has not put a foot wrong other than that one lap where he lost the bulk of that time. They're closing up once again.
I feel Beaton has complete control of this at the moment, though he's looked too comfortable on that bike for the time we have seen him on screen. Through the left, blast the dirt, through the Kawasaki, turn into the final couple of turns. He has been quick through here for the entire day. No mistakes there, coming through the second last turn. He is looking like he may pick up the win.
Well, what a race, what a response. This is how you answer the critics. This is how you bounce back from a points perspective, taking Moto1 at the Kawasaki MX1 class. Jed Beaton on board the Monster Energy CDR Yamaha machine. A dominant win from Kyle Webster on the factory Honda HRC 450. A great race from these two. We just didn't know which way it was going to go.
As we take a look at the Kawasaki MX1 results, of course it was Beaton that led the way from start to finish. Webster, Purvis, Nathan Crawford held on for fourth. Wilson Todd in fifth, Zachary Watson, Kirk Gibbs in seventh, Todd Waters, Regan Duffy and Chandler Burns.
Impressive for Chandler Burns in 10th place. Levi Rogers in 11th. Jack Simpson in 12th. Bryce Ogninas there in 14th. Jacob Sweet and Cody O'Lone.
Rods and ditches in there as well. Steele Ward, Simpson and the rest of the field will complete their opening moto here. Let's head down to Trent, who is with our winner.
Yeah, down here with Jed Beaton. Jed, that was a hard-fought Moto1, as they always been, but that looked like it was one that you've been looking for a little while. You've lost a few wins, but that one looked like you were definitely out for a statement.
Yeah, definitely, you know. I've been getting second a lot lately. I don't like it that much, and definitely needed a first moto win, that's for sure. It's been a weak point for a long time, so to get that one ticked off is good. So yeah, it felt good on the track, you know. It's quite difficult. You just have to be flowing with the track. It's super easy to make a mistake, but yeah, it felt like I managed that really well. The first couple of laps got a decent lead, and then I seen Kyle starting to reel me in a little bit, and just as he got closer, I started to pick up the speed again. So yeah, I was just trying to manage it and bring it home safe for the first one.
There you go, guys. Doesn't like getting second, gets a win there.
And an impressive way to do it. Started off the moto in the 151s, dropped down to the 154s and ended in the 152s. That is impressive.
When it comes to setting up your motorcycle for ProMX, one of the most important considerations is getting as much traction from your motorcycle as you can. And the two obvious areas are suspension and tyres. Now we're about to take a step into the top secret Monster Energy CDR Yamaha truck and take a look at some very cool suspension parts. Let's head in. Now with motos around the length of 25 minutes plus a lap in the MX1 class, the main difference between the privateer bikes and the factory motorcycles is how much the suspension goes off at the end of the race. And one of the biggest factors here is the oil inside the forks and the shock. Now this is what the suspension oil looks like at the start of a moto when it's nice and thick and got full viscosity. As you can see, by the time this passes through the valving and the pistons, there's lots of resistance here to help with compression and rebound. And now here we can see in effect what the suspension oil looks like once it heats up at the end of the moto. You can see almost like water. And when it goes like that, it becomes so much easier to pass through the holes in these pistons. So the bigger the holes, once the oil starts to get watery, it passes through, and you're watching bikes at the end of the race and they start to become more active, softer in the compression, faster in the rebound. The suspension goes off a lot quicker once that oil goes off. Now, continuing on with the traction theme, we're here at Raceline Husqvarna T-Dub team, and we have got Todd Waters' bike and we have got Regan Duffy's bike. Both look identical, both running sand paddle tyres. However, they both have a completely different setup. If we look at Todd Waters' bike here, he runs a Moose tube, which is complete solid rubber, absolutely solid. You could stick a screwdriver in this, you could run over a nail. There is no way that you are getting a puncher with this. But a couple of things to consider. We've got extra weight, and it gives the back of the bike a little bit of a dead feel out there on the track. Not quite as active. And we have a look at Regan Duffy's bike here. Same tyre, but runs a completely different tube setup. A normal traditional tube, and this is Maxxis heavy duty tube. And you can decide what tyre pressure you want to run, whether you want to run 10, 12, 14. The lower the tyre pressure, the more your tyre spreads, gives you a little more traction, but it's the same old thing. Do you go for the insurance policy of the Moose tube and no risk of a puncher, or do you go the extra feel, a little bit of extra traction of the normal tube like Regan Duffy has? Well, there you have it, guys. Both Regan Duffy and Todd Waters both running identical Maxxis rear ends with their tyre selection, but both completely different when it comes to their tubes. One being Moose, one being a normal tube. But the topic, of course, is traction. Whether it's suspension or it's your tyre choice, traction is the key.
Some good shots here of our spectators, and they have come out in the droves here today to witness some amazing action. MX3, MX2, MX1, and of course our KTM Group 65cc Futures. All right, let's head down to Danny Ham, who's on the start line.
Todd, this almost feels a little bit European with some of the way the track is moving around, the lines that we're finding. Is this really working into your wheelhouse of knowledge going into this Moto number 2?
Yes, definitely, Hammy. I felt good in the first moto, but I was like third last off the start. So I charged through, got myself behind Gibbsy, and unfortunately hit neutral and come down. But I was feeling comfortable out there, and the track's forming up. So this last moto is going to be tricky with the sun. Like going up the hills, we're going to be pretty blind. But yeah, overall, it's a bit more like sandy, rough, a bit like the Euro track. So it's I'm having a ball out there and enjoying riding my bike.
Well, good luck today in the final moto. What I want to point out to you guys while I can, have a look at the rear tyre if you can get a shot of that. This here is the scoop or the paddle tyre. When you're starting on concrete, you want as much rubber on the ground to get any kind of traction. This here does not offer a lot of rubber. So these guys have got to be so careful when they launch off this particular start with the concrete the way it is. You've got around about 60, 62 horsepower. I know none of these teams are really going to tell us the actual number that they got, but when you're trying to put that horsepower down through a tire like this to get off the start, it is so difficult not to turn that throttle on a little bit too far and dump that clutch a little bit too hard and sit here and wheel spin. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of skill to launch out. Once you're off this, it's all good, but this is the real key area. A good start or a bad start can come from that right there.
All right, let's take a look at the lineup here. Moto2, Kawasaki MX1, Kyle Webster was fastest in qualifying, fast in pole shootout. But the first moto was won by the next man in line, Jed Beaton. Maximus Purvis, Wilson Todd, Nathan Crawford, Kirk Gibbs, Zachary Watson. What a moto number 1 we saw from him.
Fantastic for Watson to get the result he did. There is Waters there, 11th up back there. Jacob Sweet, Cody Alone, Jack Simpson. There's a lot of good riders out there battling it out in this race. But I tell you what, it's going to take an enormous effort for anyone to jump up there with our top 2 guys.
Now let's paint the picture for our viewers at home. How do you see this second moto going? Do we continue in the form of Jed Beaton after a comfortable win in Moto 1? Does he really start to lay claim to this current championship lead at the moment? Or does Kyle Webster bounce back and even it out on points for the day?
Well, I think Webster's going to get himself a better start this time around. You can see the riders there just spinning those real wheels up just a little bit to get them tyres a bit sticky. Any kind of traction on offer. You don't want to do it too much because you don't want to wreck the tyre that you've got on the back, but you do need it clean. 5-second board is up. We're about to get all the answers for the Kawasaki MX1 and Moto number 2.
That rider on the far inside there got lots of wheel spin. He's almost at the back of the pack, but Kyle Webster, what a jump out of the gate. And beautiful jump also from Jed Beaton, but it was not enough for this one.
This is really where it's going to count in these first couple of laps. There'll be a charge later in the race as well. But it's so important right now for the second place rider in Jed Beaton to either make a challenge for the pass or put himself comfortably in a position where he's in the mind of Kyle Webster. The WP Whole Shot Award, of course, going to the number 1 machine of Kyle Webster. So you go up and over that tabletop.
A long way back in the pack there was Nathan Crawford, who was very impressive in that first moto and holds down 3rd place in the championship. But there are so many lines on option here between Kyle Webster and Jed Beaton. Whoever is the faster rider, I think is going to stay at that head of the pack.
Todd and Purvis battling it out. Purvis to the outside here. Can he make this pass? Purvis, the opening lap speed that he has in the past has been incredible. Can he get up there and challenge for this position right now as our lead 2 riders start to get themselves into the rhythm? There is Crawford, like you mentioned, back there in 5th at the moment.
Well, he's already made some passes to be able to get there, because when I saw him, I dare say he was back around 7th, 8th, 9th.
Up to the top of the hill, first time. MX1, the Kawasaki MX1 Moto number 2. 25 minutes the duration as our riders. Oh, big crash for the back here, Purvis.
Purvis. It was almost like he was up on the sidewall. Is he okay? He's trying to get to his feet and he's trying to get off the track. I think that is just automated safety, just self-protection mode, just to try to get out of the way of these riders with those heavy 450s coming through, but that was massive.
Yeah, that was a big crash. Hopefully he's okay. He did get off the track under his own power, which is always a good sign, but definitely he's in some pain. As we return to our race leader, the number 1 machine, Kyle Webster. 151 was the opening lap. That is pretty quick, considering they dropped down to the 154s in Moto number 1. And to do that on a track that is still very unknown, how was the flick there by Beaton? That was not meant to happen, but man, he looked good and comfortable doing it.
He just rolled with it, didn't he? Oh, and an in-swing from, was that Crawford? Yes. And it was only the corner prior to that, and you just missed it, Hammy. I think you were looking at our monitor, our timing screen, where Jed Beaton had a little bit of a mistake in the corner as well, but it's not proving too costly to him. I think both of these riders are doing whatever they can. They're prepared to make the odd mistake or two just to put the absolute maximum sprint speed that they can down at the moment.
I think you asked how this is going to play out. I think Beaton sits here for the moment. I think they settle into a rhythm, but it's dangerous. You can't let Webster get into that rhythm. But out of the 2 riders, I feel that Jed Beaton was the more comfortable one in Moto number 1. So he may be able to push himself out of that comfort zone when the time counts, but maybe wants to just keep the pace down a little bit to try and get deeper into this moto before a challenge is mounted.
All right, well, let's see how it plays out. Yellow flag out Purvis. There still for Purvis. Good, he's off the track and he's on his bike. Now, he doesn't look to be in a rush to get back into the race, but at least we know it's nothing major. Welcome back to the Penrite ProMX Championship, presented by AMX Superstores in the beautiful Latrobe City region. Have a look at that shot. The rolling hills around here. There's mountain bikes. There is all kinds of stuff to do.
As we see, Webster drops down across the line. He made work so well in Moto number 1. That lead, 1.5. I think it's more when they go across the line this time around. Just look how loose that thing is down that straight. The back end going wherever it wants.
He just loves it.
I'm in awe watching it. I don't know how you can feel comfortable. 1.5 still sits at 2.6. So that's dropped out quite a lot. Todd there comfortably in 3rd place. This will be his best result probably in many years, not just this year.
This has got to be positive for him. He needs to feed from this confidence, and he's just had such a fantastic welcome back to racing after such a long time off, and he has to be so impressed with himself. I'm sure the team has to be impressed, and all of Wilson Todd's fans couldn't expect any more than this, and I think it's only a matter of time before we start to see Wilson Todd's full potential as to where occasionally he's up battling with the likes of Webster and Beaton for the lead.
Again, Watson is up there, battling it out with Crawford at the moment. So Crawford sits there in fourth, Watson in fifth place. Incredible performance by the number 8 machine. Like we said in Moto number 1, we expected to see him up here. We saw some great results out of him last year. We expected to see him up there battling it out. It just hasn't been his way so far this year. Maybe this is the round, the track that turns it all around.
Yeah, a little mistake there from both the riders in two completely separate lines. Beautiful little pop there from Zachary Watson as he rails the outside. He's putting increasing pressure onto the back end of Nathan Crawford here. I'm interested to see how this plays out. We've got to remember, Crawford's got a very nice position in the championship to protect, where he finds himself on the track at the moment. Not too bad. Fourth place points is decent points to take away from this race.
Up and over the inside for Crawford, looking directly into the sun. You can see it on the face of the riders as they go up to that tabletop, completely blind. When you can't escape the sun like that, it is really hard to see all of your lines. The fastest lap still remains with Kyle Webster. It was the lap prior to this one. They have dropped out of their 153 pace down into the 154s right now.
Yeah, but have a look at the rest of the field, like Wilson Todd, Nathan Crawford in the 157s, and then also Zachary Watson, who was a 156 the last lap, just this time through. He's dropped down to who have we lost here, Danny? Just trying to pick up. We can't see that number on the front number plate. Just trying to pick up on the back.
I think that was might have been 282. Oh, it's Watson.
Wow.
Got himself back around Crawford. Wow, how about that? His incredible performance continues to roll on. And here's a replay for Nathan Crawford. Possible mistake? No, this is just straight up pass. Authority. That was a boss move right there.
Really good.
Very impressed with that.
Take that. But have a look at how straight the rear end of Beaton's is. Just gripping nice and tight, but that gap remains very similar. If not, it's stretched out. The clock says 2.8 seconds. Visually, it still looks like he's well in the game.
There was 3/10 in that last second in the favor of Webster. So that's the difference right there. But with how straight that bike was, with how comfortable he is at the moment, do we see what we saw in the first moto? A very late charge from Jed Beaton there in second place. I feel like Webster is pushing it pretty hard at the moment to try and gap it out as much as he can. But Beaton looks so comfortable, but there's a point where it becomes too big a gap. And right now, 3 seconds lead, that is right on the edge.
Out the head of the pack, things are 4.0 second gap now between Webster and Beaton. The relentless racetrack pressure from Kyle Webster is starting to take its toll. Will it continue this way throughout the last 7-8 minutes of this race?
156 the last lap time for Beaton, so that's where the damage has been done. We saw a big look back then from Nathan Crawford up and over. And just as I say that, they crossed the line. Lee's pointing it out to me. He just dropped into the 154s at 5 minutes to go.
Yes, so Jed Beaton, 154.3 and 155.2. So essentially a full second, 0.9 of a second was taken back from Kyle Webster's lead that time around. So it is not over. 3.2 seconds the gap now from Webster back to Jed Beaton.
They may receive the last lap board the next time, maybe not. That time is going to be very close. As they work through the center, up and over that step on, step off second, still tripling into there through the AMX left. Beaton looks like he might have picked up just a little bit the intensity into that corner.
The last 2 times through that right-hander, he hasn't quite nailed it like he did the time before. I think there's a couple of tenths of a second just there. Yeah, I think that it's going to be touch and go, but I think that they are going to make it across the line. So there's another 2 full laps to go. This is not the best news for Kyle Webster. Great news for Jed Beaton. It's going to give him more time to try to do something.
Oh, the back end stepping out sideways for Webster across the line, 154.2 compared to a 153.9. So that was nice by Beaton, that inside line. He is still chipping away.
He's had a second wind. He is in a good rhythm here.
Through the Yamaha right, both of our lead riders, 56 seconds gap. 1 minute gap over third place. Can you believe that?
Wow. This is a bigger gap than what we saw at Wonthaggi.
It is.
Well, these two riders just really are in an absolute league of their own. Kyle Webster on board the Boost Mobile Honda HRC machine, our current leader, but it is the smallest of gaps, 1.7 seconds over Jed Beaton in the Monster Energy CDR Yamaha machine, the number 14 with the red background, our current championship points leader. He won the first moto of the day, and he does not want to walk away with the second place in Moto2. He is doing everything he can, but we are not too far away from that last lap board coming out.
This would be absolutely massive for Beaton if he can make this pass right now, as he gets right into striking range. Very good entry in there to the easy lift right-hander as they clear another lap rider. Beaton, though, has been caught up just a little bit. Massively, that is going to hurt his chances. That 1.3 gap could blow out to 2 seconds here.
Yeah, unfortunately, who was that? That was just not great awareness there from that lapped rider to be able to get off that race line. So Jed Beaton tries to remount some kind of challenge here. That gap looks like it's extended even more as Kyle Webster will rocket down towards the last lap board. Blue flag waving. Final lap. Kyle Webster hits that inside line. And likewise, there's another lapped rider in between Webster and Beaton. It's still achievable. It's still a possibility, but it is a long shot now.
One small mistake from the number one machine will allow Beaton to be well within striking range. He's closed up a lot in that little part there. I feel like it's a bit too late at the moment, but never give up. That is the mentality for both of these riders.
Well, he would know, and the pit boards would tell him, Jed Beaton would know, this is all or nothing now. It's 1 minute and 6 seconds back to Zach Watson in third place. He can afford to let it all hang out and even have a tiny little tip over in a corner and still get second place in the race. What he can't afford to do is have a big, massive end-for-end crash and risk hurting himself. So he needs to know just how much he can risk, but he needs to be closer than this. He's doing everything he can.
Look how rough it is getting into that section. Up and over the tail drop, the back wheel sliding all the way up the ramp, trying to stay low, keep that momentum, running forwards. Slow through there for Webster as they come through to the middle section of this track. Clearly we can see Beaton has closed down this gap.
Look at that. Is that Todd Waters there?
Todd Waters, yes.
Todd Waters just doing the absolute gentleman thing. He just got right off the race line, and fist pumps for these two that are battling right the way down to the wire. It has come down to here. Our last couple of corners, a protective inside line for Kyle Webster. Jed Beaton, he can almost reach out and touch Kyle Webster, but it is not going to be enough. We've got one corner to go. How about the dancing around from Webster's Honda? He will take victory here in the second moto, equal on points, but it won't be enough. Kyle Webster will take the victory here today. Both of these absolute superstar riders will be tied on 47 points. What a show, what a display that we just witnessed there, Danny Ham. That was fantastic, phenomenal racing. What a stellar ride this will be from Zachary Watson. He comes through, have a look. He's not going to feel like he's at the end of the moto. He's going to feel like he could do a 40-minute moto now. He's going to be that ecstatic. Well-deserved. Crawford still sits in fourth, so Watson will not be on the podium, but he almost deserves to be. What an amazing ride. Let's take a look at our results here. Kyle Webster, our winner from Jed Beaton, just 1.5 seconds back. Zachary Watson in third place. Take a bow, my friend. Nathan Crawford in fourth. Wilson Todd in fifth. Kirk Gibbs. Todd Waters was a lap down, waving them on, but in 7th place, Bryce Ogninas, 1 position behind.
Lapped all the way through to 6th place. If you can describe domination, we just saw it right there. Great field here. As we said, there is that investigation going on. We don't know the results of that one, so we'll wait and see. But as it stands at the moment, it does look like it is a tie between these 2 riders at the top of the field, and absolutely an incredible display of motocross.
Let's go straight down to Trent, who is with our podium place getters.
Yeah, guys, down here with Nathan Crawford. I know that looked like a tough one, that final moto, but you land on the box. How are you feeling right now?
A little deflated, honestly. I don't know, man. I'm putting everything into my weeks, and I'm trying as hard as I can. And this, to me, right now is failing. So yeah, I got to figure something out. It's not from a lack of trying. We're doing the best we can, and yeah, we'll figure it out soon. But yeah, I'm definitely not satisfied at the moment, and it's not even about the gap, you know. There's a handful of things that I need to work on, and yeah, well, hopefully we'll sort it out soon.
Well, hopefully you do. We move on to P2 here. Jed Beaton, you got to win in the first one. That second one, you were right there. You followed to the end there, but P2, again, you got that win earlier. Does that satisfy you, or you still want more?
Definitely still want more. You want the overall, but all in all, a really good day. It just shows how important the start is. Kyle got the lead early and then did a good few laps at the start, got the gap, and then I started trying to catch up, and then we got caught up in all the lappers. But yeah, it is what it is. We're, I don't know, always finishing 1 or 2 seconds apart. So yeah, it's just really the start, and I felt like my riding was good today, so I'm satisfied. And yeah, we'll go to the next round. Can't thank the Monster Energy CR Yamaha team enough. My personal sponsors, Control Tech and Raw Plumbing, and also my brother for putting in such a big effort with us.
Awesome job, and your winner here, Kyle Webster. That second one to start seemed to be the better part, but it looked like the sun was getting hard, that track was getting hard. Talk us through that one.
Yeah, as Jed said, the start was very important. The track was gnarly, the sun was gnarly. It was so hard to see anything other than what was right in front of you. So, no, awesome day. Really stoked on that second race, and man, the racing with Jed and I is so tight, but it's really clean, so it's enjoyable. And just a big shout out to the team, my family, friends, sponsors, everyone who makes the big effort. Ross beating the Pro Formula for all the hard work during the week. You know, it's clearly showing how well it works. So, big thanks to everybody, and look forward to the next one.
There you go, guys, the MX1 podium.
Well, there you have it. Brilliant racing from these guys, but particularly our top 2. They just went right the way down to the wire. Let's have a look at the points tally, how it sits at the moment. Jed Beaton on top, 160. And Kyle Webster back there in second place with 147. Continues to be the same. Crawford in third place with 129. Wilson Todd, Zachary Watson, after a great ride today, he's 5th in the championship.
And moves up a couple more places. Gibbs is back there. Unfortunately for Cloud, did not score any points today. Rogers, Todd Waters, 84, and Regan Duffy there in 10th place.
Our list of riders goes on. Duffy back there in 10th place. Make sure you lock into your calendars June the 13th to the 15th as we head to Morgan Park Raceway in Queensland for round 4 of the My Bike Australian Superbike Championship presented by Moto2.
And ProMX rolls into Warwick, Queensland for round number 5, June 22.
Well, what a day's racing we have just witnessed. Thanks so much for joining us. On behalf of myself, Lee Hogan, Danny Ham and Trent Marr, thanks for your company. We'll see you next as we head to Warwick in Queensland for round 5 of the championship. This telecast is in the memory of Joel Evans, who we tragically lost recently. Joel, you will be strongly missed in the ProMX paddock. From all of us here at ProMX, Motorcycling Australia and all in the racing community, we send our sincere condolences.